Hello, hello. Starting things out with our Sagittarius new moon reading. Welcome, welcome if you're joining the live, and welcome, welcome if you're joining the replay. I am switching a lot of things up in my business at large, and this is one of the things that I'm trying out in preparation for the new year. I would like to start doing more of these live streams because I do everything in my business myself. I am a solopreneur and I do all the editing, all of the web design, all of the graphic design. And after recording about an hour of tarot content every new and full moon, I then edit an hour of tarot content every new and full moon on top of all the stuff that I do for my clients, for my yoga teaching, for my Patreon. And I'm just trying to condense the amount of effort that goes into everything so I can focus more on this part. The part where I am giving you good energy, giving you some advice, giving you some answers, some insights, and keep my energy clear for that so I'm not exhausted by everything else. That being said, I'm going to try out a format that is inspired by a couple of my favorite readers, one of which is Nicholas Ashbaugh. You can check him out on YouTube. And then Chris Corsini, I want to say is the last name. He's on Instagram and YouTube. He does sign language during his readings, so you might have seen him if that sounds familiar. And they both do very different readings. I highly recommend both of them, but I am going to kind of take a little bit of a formatting that they both sort of do, which is starting with the reading, going into some sort of meditation or healing portion for that reading, and then I'm going to borrow something from Chris Corsini that is pulling his pivot party. So at the end of his readings, he does something where he allows the space to share what's going on in his life and how the energy at the time is affecting him. And I really like that because one of the things that I liked most about my Patreon readings, which PS are going to the wayside because we've got better things coming. So that'll be discussed at the end. But we are doing, the thing that I liked about that is that it's a smaller group over my Patreon. So every time I would get done with the general collective readings for these new and full moon readings, I would suddenly feel this relief, and I would feel more like I was at like a social party when I got to the Patreon portion because it just wasn't feeling like quite as much pressure. There wasn't quite as much energy watching the video, and I can empathically feel that. So the point being is the format of this reading is we're going to start with all signs. So we're going to move from Sagittarius all the way around the zodiac. I'm going to pull a couple cards for each sign. We're going to go through all of that, and that will be your new moon / 12/12 portal reading. And then I'm going to give a little moment for meditation and cleansing and clearing based on the energy at hand. And after that, I'm going to tell you that the reading portion is now over and we are going into, I don't know what I'm going to call it. Like I said, the inspiration is called a pivot party. I'm not going to steal that element, but I'm just going to share personal stuff and stuff that's happening in my business. So if you like to know and be up to date on the things that are shifting there, some little spoilers, one-on-one readings are shifting and the prices are being up-leveled. So if you have been stalling on getting a one-on-one reading, there is a link for that below. As I mentioned, the Patreon is trickling away. It's not going to go away completely and right away, but I'm figuring out what Patreon is because I wanted it to be a membership site, and I'm essentially moving that membership site over to my website and making it an official membership site. So stay tuned for that. And then the Patreon, I can't decide if I'm keeping it or getting rid of it or just keeping elements of it. But for right now, I'm not pushing you to become a Patreon member. However, if you do become a Patreon member, there's like 4 years of content right now that you can go check out, and you will support this channel. If you want to support the channel and you're like not feeling good about that uncertainty for Patreon, I have a simple PayPal me link. So that's normally what I'm going to be doing for these readings. And I'm just going to say it's, pay what you can, donate what you can, show your appreciation in whatever form that you want. You can do that by doing the donation route link. You can do it by sharing these videos. You can do it about sharing my services with a friend that might want a reading. And again, if you want a reading as they currently stand, mind, body, soul version, you will want to book those before the end of December because that is going away in that format. It's coming back, but it's coming back a lot bigger, and so the price is going to reflect that. So if you want that current formation of the reading, please, please, please book it before the end of December, and ideally before the Christmas time period. You don't have to necessarily schedule it, but you have to pay and get your booking on the books. So with all of that, we are going to dive in. And if you're new around here, hello. My name is Shea Walker. I'm a professional intuitive. I'm a Reiki healer. I'm a yoga instructor. I'm an oracle deck creator. We will be using my oracle deck in each of the sign readings. It's the Total Betty Goddess deck. It's 90s icons playing the goddesses. So if you're a fan of 90s nostalgia, you'll want to check that out. Links are below. And then we're going to move into also some modern witch tarot cards for each of the signs as well. And then we'll move into the meditation. I'm actually gonna let the energy of the cards dictate what our little meditation clearing energy is, but there will be a little bit of distance Reiki. There will be a little bit of just time for you to zone and center, because one of the biggest things that I'm shifting in my business is to try and empower you to be able to clear your energy and use your intuition to your advantage. So rather than giving you all the answers in these readings, I'm encouraging you to tap into your intuition. So with that in mind, before we move into the cards, I want you to take a moment to just sit, close your eyes, and settle into your body, because often we're not in our body, especially if you have a lot of air or fire or even water in your chart. So feel yourself sitting wherever you're sitting. Take a moment to notice the sounds around you. Take a moment to notice just the feel of the temperature of the air on your skin. Anything that's outside of your sight that you can take in from your environment, take that in. Start to do a little scan through your body. Notice if there's anything right away that you can let go of. Can you relax your shoulders? Can you unclench your jaw? Soften your belly and let it move with your breath. And this grounding that we're doing here is helping you not only to feel more relaxed and present for this reading, but also to tap more into your intuition. Because what I want you to do is, as we start to move into the signs, yes, they are zodiac signs, so you could watch them as sun, moon, rising, or really any element of your chart. If it's there, watch it, and then look what planet it reflects, and that'll be the area of your life that reading is dictating. But more importantly, you can watch this entire reading and totally forget about the signs. And if you're tapped into your intuition, you will feel an internal sense of yes or no, whether or not a reading is for you. You already have the answers. I'm just your answer key. I'm just checking your work for you. So go ahead and blink your eyes open, and we're gonna dive into the cards. Again, we're gonna start with Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, we're gonna get you a Total Betty Goddess card. I had a ton of them flip over, but we're not gonna do like half the deck. So let's see who wants to come out as a single card. Oh, she's coming out again. Okay, so Sagittarius, this is definitely your goddess card, and I have to apologize for the state of her because she's had a rough night. The kitten that's currently behind me, Harley Quinn, loved to chew this card up. So she's been chewed up a little bit, but she is played by Rose McGowan from the movie Jawbreaker. And it's Aradia, who is one of a few goddesses of witchcraft in this deck. She specifically comes forward for me whenever it's witchcraft in service of a greater good or a population, because she's also the goddess of defender of the oppressed. So if you have any sort of cause that's near and dear to your heart, be it humans, animals, environment, whatever it is that calls out to your soul whenever you see that someone's in need in that area, this is a really good new moon to set some intentions around that. So it's also a good moon to do some magic work around that. So if that calls out to you, definitely seek out some sources there. And that's where we're gonna go with that goddess. I'm gonna pull a tarot card as well to see what kind of energy is coming forward as far as like predictions for this new moon. But your goal, your job, your goddess supported energy is to be a defender of the oppressed and to use your magic, not only to the advantage of you, because it's never just about serving others. It's always going to be in service of yourself as well, but also recognizing that you are part of a community, you're a part of a whole, and that you can do good for the world around you, even as you are supporting yourself. So with that in mind, we have a card that fell out, and it is the Knight of Swords. So I like this for you, Sagittarius, because the Knight of Swords is a very impulsive energy, which I love Sagittarius in my life, and they tend to be more impulsive. And that fiery energy is really what's going to be working for you here. So again, I come back to the statement of like, go towards what makes you feel passionate. Like, what is the topic and it could be good or bad. Like, I don't want to get hung up on like, oh my God, I'm so upset about the injustices in the world. It could be as simple as you are drawn to a topic because it feels interesting to you. It feels intriguing to you. It can be that you feel upset about the injustices, and there's plenty of work to be done there. But as I like to always say, or rather borrow from Robin Williams, I like to look for the helpers. Not Robin Williams, Mr. Rogers, but Robin Williams has some good quotes as well. I like to look for the helpers rather than look for what's going wrong. So even in a situation where it feels like it's kind of hopeless, we've got lots of those in our world right now, look for the helpers. Look for where you can be a help and support for what's going right in a situation, rather than just complaining about or even protesting against what's going wrong. Like, you have to be a part of the solution. You can't just be anti-problem, because that doesn't solve anything. It just creates more conflict. So be a part of the solution, whatever it is, but really think of that thing that like you hear about it on social media or on the news or in something that you're reading, and you light up and you're like, oh, I want to take action there. Like, I want to help out that cause. And that is what you are diving in for this Knight of Swords energy. So there's our Sagittarius reading. Moving on from Sagittarius into Capricorn. Capricorn, your total Betty goddess is coming through as someone that's being a little stubborn, because normally I have a card fall out. Oh, there's a card. All right, I've got to reach it. Hang on. Normally I would edit this out, but we're not going to edit this. So your card is Hebe, and I could be saying that wrong. I'm not a linguistic expert. I created the cards and I've learned how to say a lot of their names, but not all of them stick. But point being, Hebe is our goddess, and she is played by Isabella Rossellini as her character in Death Becomes Her, Easel. And so this is a card of eternal youth. So while Sagittarius's reading was about playing into type, Capricorn, you're playing slightly against type in this card, or at least against the archetype that you're known for, because Capricorns are known for being very businesslike, being kind of the adults of the zodiac, at the very least the paternal figure of the zodiac, and that's not always known for being like a fun and childlike energy. I know that you can be. I have plenty of Capricorns in my life that are very fun and childlike, but the default mode does not necessarily go towards that. So Hebe is here to remind you that you are a child first, foremost, and always. There's always an inner child in you that is calling out for something. And that is actually what keeps you young. Forget about the serums and exercises and cryogenics or whatever. What keeps you young is feeling young. So if you've been a little too adult lately, it's time to tap back into that inner child and do something that would make your inner child feel joyful and young and youthful and playful. And there's nothing wrong with it being a little magical based around the character that is in the card. If you've ever seen the movie Death Becomes Her, if you haven't, I highly recommend it. And we're gonna pull a tarot card for you as well, Capricorn, and one of them flew out, so this one's definitely for you. The Knight of Cups. Ooh, I like this. Capricorn, there's one of two things happening for you underneath this new moon energy. The manifestations that you're reading here are about tapping into that inner child, but there's something that's gonna kind of help awaken that. And the Knight of Cups is about love or creativity, and it's an offer of one of those things. So for some of you watching, this is why when we have a master reading, it's a little hard to narrow it down, but for some of you watching, it is that you have an offer of a creative project or a creative idea that comes to you that's gonna bring you back into that inner child. So maybe it's that you suddenly get the inspiration to do an art form that you did as a child, like painting with watercolors or building things with Play-Doh or whatever. And that's gonna really light you up underneath this new moon and kind of create the new energy that you need moving through this portal and into 2024 eventually. Or it could be for some of you, for less of you, but for some of you, that there is a romantic partner that's coming in to awaken that inner child energy. I'm getting a little bit of fire sign energy from this. So for some of you Capricorns, you might be encountering an Aries, a Leo, or a Sagittarius, and they're gonna kind of help you find that like impulsive playfulness that you need more of in your life. However, I always like to remind you that you are a complete individual in and of yourself. So if you do not have someone romantic coming into your life, that's still awesome. You can be your own inspiration, your own offer of that love and inspiration for playfulness. And also, even if you do have someone coming into your life, being reliant on that energy or thinking that is the only thing that is making you feel childlike and alive is a fallacy, because you are simply mirroring back to someone, or someone is simply mirroring back to you an energy that is already existing within you. So I always like to do the little codependent safety net and say that this offer of love, for those of you that are having an offer of love come in and you're like, oh, this person makes me feel so childlike and playful and alive and I love it. You don't need them to feel that way. And in fact, the reason that they can bring that into your life is because it already existed within you. They could not have brought that energy in and had it reflected from you if you didn't already have it within you. So feel free to enjoy their presence, but also know that you can tap into it when they're absent as well. So with that in mind, we'll move into Capricorn to Aquarius. So Aquarius, I'm an Aquarius rising. I'm there with you. I don't know why I felt the need to shuffle that on the table this time, but let's see what comes out. So your total Betty Goddess Aquarius for this portal and for the new moon and maybe even for the new year is Persephone, played by 90s Winona Ryder. So this is, quite frankly, this is perfect for Aquarius energy. This is a card of, the caption on it that I've written is be subversive, because Persephone is known for being both of the world and in the underworld, because she's Hades' wife that spends 6 months on land, 6 months in the underworld with him. It's an arrangement that happened with her mother Demeter. Lots of mythology behind that. The point that you need to know is that this is very like underground club energy, like secret speakeasy energy, which Aquarius is great at, because Aquarius is the original hipster. And I can say that as an Aquarius rising. You want to have found something first, have known something first, be the one to discover, because you're the innovator. That makes sense. But it does show up in sort of this sort of hipsterish energy of, oh, I knew about that for years, or like you're only just discovering that, or I discovered it first. That's what's happening here. But Persephone's telling you to lean into that, to be the innovator, to be the one that brings something to the surface that's maybe been a little underground. And I think that this is twofold. I think that this one, there's some sort of interest or hobby or something that you have that maybe is a little underground and like not everyone knows about it. And I think you kind of like that, but the world kind of needs more of it. So whether it's like an art form or a creative project that you're into that you're just like, oh, it's so indie and like you like that about it. Well, the world needs that message from that indie project that you're working on. Or it's that you are, doing poetry in your journal at home and never showing it to anyone, and it could really awaken some emotions and some creativity in someone else. And it's kind of your duty to bring that to light. It is. I mean, Aquarius is about being an innovator and bringing things that we didn't think were possible into the world. And so whatever it is, maybe it's a huge tech thing, maybe it's like a little personal creative project, it's time. It's time to at least start thinking about how you're going to bring it into the world and get it to a larger audience. That being said, it also could be, and it's probably a little bit of both, bringing emotions up to the surface that maybe you've been burying, because Aquarius does have a tendency to be known for being kind of a Spock-like energy, and that it's not that you don't have emotions, but they're just underneath this very like blank slate surface. You're not known for wearing your heart on your sleeve, and this is definitely the time. I get December, January, there's some sort of deadline when it comes to sharing how you feel about something. Maybe it's how you feel about a potential romantic partner, that like if you don't share soon, they're gonna go out of your life. Maybe it's that you are trying to share your feelings about something that you don't like at work or at home. And if you just hold it in, it's gonna combust and it's gonna become a larger issue. So the point being is you're bringing things to the surface this month. You're bringing up the creative project so that other people and a wider audience can see it, and or you're bringing up emotions that you've been kind of burying down. And P.S., that's going to be healthier for you. I know it feels super vulnerable to be emotional, but if you bring it to the surface, You clear some energy, you move energy. So if you've been feeling stuck or stagnant, it's because you're not sharing that thing that you're feeling. And I guarantee when you start sharing, things will start moving. And it may feel a little rocky at first, but it's all for the better. So be true to your authentic self, be true to your emotions, share the thing that you've been keeping underground. I didn't even need to pull a tarot card for you, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull a tarot card for you, Aquarius. So let's see what's happening here. We are doing a little Aquarius. Oh, we got a flipper. 8 of Swords. You can walk away whenever you want. So if something that you've been trying to bring to the surface or share is that you're done with a situation, be it a job, a romantic relationship, or a friendship, whatever it is, you have the power to walk away whenever. So stop trying to like figure out what the timeline is supposed to be, because you could do it tomorrow. You could do it today. You could do it tonight. You're the only one that's keeping you tied to this. So if it's not working for you, speak your truth, speak your emotions, and get out of there. There's something better waiting for you. So from Aquarius into Pisces. Pisces, let's see who your goddess is. So your Total Betty 90s themed goddess. Ooh, there's a card that just flipped over while I was shuffling. Oh, this is perfect for Pisces. Oya, played by Whoopi Goldberg, and Ghost as Oda Mae Brown. So this is very spiritual Pisces energy. It is communing with the dead. It is really connecting to the spiritual world. It is peak Pisces psychic energy. So this is a good new moon. And honestly, I've been hearing from a lot of astrologers that this new moon is really good for less doing and more dreaming. And that's perfect for Pisces energy, and that's perfect for this goddess. This is a good new moon to set aside time to just journal, to meditate. If you work with spirits, let that spiritual practice be at the forefront. Light a candle for your ancestors, do some channeling work, do some journaling, some free writing, see what comes through you. You've got some messages that want to come in. I would not be surprised if the card that comes out of this deck is the 8 of Wands, but I think it was something else. It's the 6 of Wands, but the 8 of Wands would have been messages coming through. 6 of Wands is saying that you are kind of a beacon of light. So what I'm getting from this card is a little different than what I would normally get from it. There's something that's said in the witchcraft community a lot of times where when you start doing spell work, it's like a light goes on in your lighthouse. And it's great because like the energies you're trying to communicate with and the witchcraft work can find you, but other energies can find you as well. So there's 2 things that I want to say for these 2 cards together for Pisces. One is don't be afraid of connecting to your spirit guides. They can definitely see and hear you and connect with you very strongly right now because your light is on. 2, please put into place a non-negotiable energy protection practice. If you don't have one, there's plenty of resources online. If you want to do a larger training, Become Your Own Healer Level 1 has its next round happening actually this Friday on the 15th. And there's a whole section in that on energy protection. There's also a section on intuitive development. It is my version of a Reiki healer training, but it's more than that. It's a Reiki healer training, it's a magic training, it's an energy protection training, it's an empath training program. And it's gonna be the last time that it's on the current platform. So you'll be moving with me to the new platform on my website if you join today, but it's also probably gonna be a little bit higher price on the new platform. So you'll save if you sign up for this one. And you can sign up anytime, but the attunement will happen on the 15th, Friday the 15th. So get yourself attuned to some healing energy, do some self-healing, connect to your intuition more, connect to your guides, and learn how to protect your energy. But if you don't want to do that, please find a way to put into place a protection practice and do it every single time you do any sort of spiritual work, because your light is on. And again, that means that you're connecting with the good, but it means that the other people can find you as well. It's like having your light on in a darkened apartment and like people can see in your window. And it's like, your friends can come by and they can see that they're home and they can come in and visit because they know that they're there. But everyone else on the street can see in your window too. And sometimes that's maybe not people that you want to be able to see in your window. But your light is so bright that you can't turn it down. So you have to instead protect yourself with metaphorical curtains. So with that in mind, we'll move from Pisces into Aries. Aries, your goddess card for this portal/new moon is the Fates. Aries, I feel like you've been having this for a while. You are disconnecting from something that's not working anymore. The Fates is cutting ties to the past. Something from your past is still holding you back like an anchor, and it's time to cut the ties. It could be toxic friendships, because that does come forward a lot from the witches from the craft who play the goddesses on this card. But it also could just be old behavior patterns, old thought patterns, old situations, old locations. So it's a good time to really cut those ties. And with that in mind, let's see what the Modern Witch Tarot has to say in regards to that. Hang on, it dropped. Okay, the Hanged One. Ooh, I love this. So normally the Hangman, or the Hanged One in this deck, because it's more neutralized, is a sign of a shift in perspective and patience, because you're kind of tied up right now. That is true here as well. It could be that there is a situation that like you can't burn a bridge immediately. And I think that's just for the health of everyone's emotional state involved. Like it could be something where like you're done with a friendship, but you're still like seeing that person like maybe you're done with a friendship that's a coworker and like you're still seeing that person every day, or you're done with a friendship but like they owe you money. Like I don't know, whatever it is, there's a tie here that like you don't want to just like take out the machete and like hack it off, because there's a mutual beneficial thing that's happening there. That just takes time to unravel itself. It's like these cords that you're cutting are tangled and you have to untangle them. So that's the first thing I'm getting from this. But the other thing I'm getting from this is like the Hanged One is strung up by a cord. So this also is a sign that if you're feeling stuck, cutting this cord is going to unstick you. If you've been rooted in one place and tied to one place, or tied to whatever, a stuck energy, cutting the cord to whatever this unhealthy situation is, and I don't get the feeling necessarily that it's super unhealthy, it's just not for you anymore. Like we all have different vibrations and we go through different stages in our lives where we're at different levels, and it's not necessarily a better or worse level, but like sometimes our friends drift out of our lives because they weren't matching our vibration anymore. And like we either wouldn't have anything to talk about, or we'd be just messing each other's paths up because we're just like coming in with a different vibe. So again, it's not necessarily bad, but you are needing to cut a tie from something that's not a match. And it's just like you cut the tie on your ankle here and it drops you down from the tree and you can go wherever you want. So let that be your motivation. From Aries into Taurus. Taurus, your Total Betty card wanted to flip out. So let's see who it is. Circe. She is played by, honestly, first Sandra Bullock as Sally Owens in Practical Magic. Circe is another witch card, so she's the second witch goddess that's coming out. Technically third. Oya could be considered kind of a witchy goddess. And the Fates, I guess we've got lots of witches actually. The Fates could kind of be, but she is an actual, like, they call her a witch. And she is the goddess in this deck of manifestations. So a really great card to have in your corner for the Sagittarius new moon, because new moons are all about manifestations. You plant the seeds in the new moon, and ideally they're harvest, if not before, by the full moon 6 months later. So when Sagittarius moon is full, the summer. She's also, I'm getting a little vibe. So the story of Circe, and I'm gonna kind of butcher it because I'm just being brief. She lures a bunch of men to her island and turns them into pigs as like punishment for their treatment. And there's a little bit of a message here that's like, yes, you can manifest things right now, but be careful what you wish for. And not so much be careful what you wish for because you are gonna get something bad or you're gonna be punished by it. Like you might be, I mean, you're Taurus, so like you can hold a grudge, Taurus. So like you might be fully satisfied by some sort of like revenge manifestation that you wanna come into play. But also, like, is it good for the greater good? In that case, like, are you turning a bunch of people into pigs and it's not really serving anyone except for your own need for revenge? So that's coming up for someone, some Taurus energy, but just in general, as you manifest, be careful what you wish for. Like, make sure that you're manifesting things that are both good for you and good for the world at large. And it's not developing bad karma. That's the other thing. Like, you don't want to like be vindictive because it's going to come back times 3 or times 10, depending on what you believe. So be mindful of that. Taurus, your tarot card is the Eight of Cups. So there is something that you're walking away from here. In this particular deck, the Eight of Cups is not broken. They're all still upright and usable, and you're walking away. So it might not be incredibly evident that a situation is done for you. I like it. I kind of like it when the Eight of Cups is broken cups, even though it feels emotionally more traumatizing. The Eight of Cups, when they're all broken, means that you can look around at your experience and you can see that there's nothing left for you. Like, you cannot put water in these shattered cups. There's nothing left to do here. You just have to walk away and find some new cups. The fact that these are not broken and they're all upright and they all appear to be usable tells me that you are moving on to greener pastures, but it may not be immediately evident that your pastures aren't that green. This kind of feels like a complacency, a comfort thing, which makes sense because Taurus does like to get that like sense of comfort and stability in their life. So there's a job, there's a relationship, there's even a hobby. There's something in your life that's just it's not for you anymore. And you may not realize that it's not for you anymore because there aren't any jagged, broken edges to it. But when you really think about it, when you start thinking about your manifestations and you think about where you want to be 6 months from now, you're going to realize that something that's pretty big in your current life doesn't fit that future vision. And you're going to need to walk away from it. And if you do it for your future self, it's going to be easy. Like, do it for that future version of yourself 6 months from now, because you can't stay tied to the past and move forward at the same time. All right, from Taurus into Gemini. Gemini, your total Betty Goddess card is, where is it? Who's coming out? Oh, there we go. Oh, dropped it. Gemini, your Goddess card is Freya, played by Sarah Jessica Parker as Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City. I like this for you, Gemini. I think that you are gonna have an opportunity to have a very flirtatious and social end of the year. Or at the very least, an opportunity to go to a couple parties and look fabulous. Because Freya is, she's a goddess of love. She's kind of a goddess of fashion because she has a lot of cool accessories. But she's not afraid to be unapologetic about her costume, about her flirtatiousness. She's known for having several different partners and was totally okay with that. And this is a no slut shaming card. And it's definitely, I'm getting a lot of imagery of like holiday parties. So like if your work has a holiday party or if you get invited to a holiday party, go have fun, flirt it up, wear something amazing. It doesn't feel like it's gonna be that serious. And honestly, you're the opposite sign of what we're in the new moon. And right off the top of my head, I don't have an immediate astrological reading of what that means traditionally, but it would make sense to me that like maybe this energy would be a little bit lighter for you. So with that in mind, what's your tarot card for Gemini? More things on the floor, hang on. Nine of Cups, love it. Oh, Gemini, you got some good energy going on. So hold up, the one thing I will say about this, these flirtations probably aren't meant to be a long-term commitment. They might eventually, like down the line, get there, but go into this for fun for fun's sake, flirting for flirting's sake. Because the Nine of Cups is the single person's fulfillment card. This is like, I got everything I need. I don't know why I would even go out there looking for anything else. But the reason you might is because it's fun to flirt. It's fun to get dressed up and get pretty or handsome or whatever and go out and be seen. I'm getting Taylor Swift's Bejeweled in my head. So if you love sparkling, this is the month to sparkle. And what a great time to sparkle. Like the holiday time's a great time to be invited to parties and have those opportunities. But you are complete in yourself. You have all the love and creativity and emotional support that you need. So you are just going out to have a little fun. And there's nothing wrong with that. So enjoy that, Gemini. And moving into Cancer. My fellow Cancerians, I'm a Cancer sun sign. If you're a Cancer rising, or God forbid, a Cancer moon, let's get deep with the emotions. No shame for the Cancer moons, but I get it. Like, Cancer sun is enough emotions for me. I can't imagine a Cancer moon. So, your card is Cassandra, played by Demi Moore as the Butcher's Wife from The Butcher's Wife. This is peak Cancerian intuition. And honestly, if you haven't seen this movie, if you can find it somewhere, it's one of those 90s movies that isn't necessarily on all the streaming platforms, but The Butcher's Wife wouldn't be a bad, fun little watch for you, Cancers, because this feels very Cancer vibe, and I've never really put that together, but now I feel like I want to go watch the movie again because, yeah, I mean, the character might not be a Cancer, but it's not an un-Cancer-like energy because she's a psychic. She's a psychic. The brief recap storyline of this movie, without any spoilers, is that she is a highly intuitive woman living on an island. She has a dream of her future husband, and a man shows up that matches the dream, and she immediately, like within days, marries him and moves to New York. And she's like this country girl, and she like goes barefoot everywhere, and she's now the butcher's wife, and so she's barefoot in New York City. It's a very quaint, like fish out of water, like light, easy movie. And there's a lot of it. There's two things that are coming forward. First of all, she's very kind and nurturing with her abilities. Like it's just a very sweet movie. It feels very sweet, and Cancer energy does feel very sweet a lot of times, though we can be very vindictive. It's very sweet, very fantasy-like. And then the thing that I'm coming forward with it, though, is there's a lot of talk in the movie about Plato's theory of like twin souls, like soulmates. That soulmates are one soul split in two bodies, and they're constantly searching for one another. So the thing that I'm going to say around this is, if you are a recovered love addict, codependent, if you are too, which is a very Cancerian energy, be mindful of that around this time period. There may be some tendency for some of those thought patterns to resurface. I'm not saying you're going to backslide into like losing yourself in a relationship, because essentially love addiction is like relying so much on a partner for your happiness that you lose track of yourself. And there's way more to it, but like that's just brief overview of that. So if you have those tendencies of being too codependent in a relationship or being addicted to love for love's sake, there's also a term in psychology, I want to say it's limerence, where like you project too much fantasy onto a situation and you're actually living for the fantasy than the actual person. Be very mindful of relationships over the next month, and be mindful of what's fantasy and what's real, and what's you and what's them. And you want to make sure that there's very distinct boundaries there, because Cancer doesn't really need to be more open to love. That's not ever going to be a problem for us. But so I don't feel bad in saying you to put up some boundaries, because I think that even a Cancer putting up the highest boundary in the world is still going to be very open-hearted. So put up some boundaries around like the division of self and other, and make sure that you're not slipping into places where you are fantasizing someone else. Oh, we got two cards that fell out. Or losing yourself in a relationship. Let me see what the other card was. We have the Star, which means that you're healing. You're still healing these patterns of codependence. And the Ten of Pentacles, which means that when you heal those patterns of codependence, of love addiction, you open the door for true commitment. Because the Ten of Pentacles is it's like the generational, like family card. Like even if you're like me and you don't necessarily want to have kids, like it is that happy home, happy family, security, stable, a community. It's a community around you of people who love you and support you, and who you love and support. And there is a mutual benefit to that. And there is a security to that. There's a commitment there. But you can't get to this without first doing this. You cannot get to this without healing your patterns around codependency and making sure that you stand on your own, even when you have someone to lean against. There you go, Cancer. Moving from Cancer into Leo. Leo, your goddess card for this moon is Eos and Celine. So Eos and Celine, played by Romeo and Michelle from Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion, are sister goddesses, and they are the goddess of dawn and the goddess of night. I mean, it's like sun and stars, but let's just say dawn and night. So they're opposites, but they complement one another, and they can't shine without the other one. So this is, I'm losing power, so let's try and wrap this up soon. This is a card that is telling you to make sure that you recognize that someone doesn't have to be just like you to complement your energy, to empower you, to put you on a path that you want to be on. So whether it's friends, coworkers, family members, sometimes that becomes hard to remember, or lovers, it's definitely a time period to not only practice tolerance, but appreciation for the differences of the people in your life, because ultimately, even the people that you feel are completely opposite to you are mirroring something back to you that you need to heal or evaluate or make peace with. So be thankful for the people that quote unquote trigger you or whatever it is, because they are actually helping you to shine a light on something that you're healing. And with that in mind, your card is the Two of Pentacles, so there is a sense of balance. So I do think that this also could indicate, because we have the two people here, we have the balance here, we're trying to get out of a sense of like jealousy or stealing someone's light. So yeah, in addition to having appreciation for the people that are unlike you, have a graciousness around whatever metaphorical spotlight is going on in your life. So if you are a public figure or creative, or even just like trying to do anything in the public eye, don't get kind of like greedy, shady around people that are doing similar things. Like, there is enough room for everyone at the table, and by shining your light brighter or letting them shine their light brighter, you also shine. So think of it like the fact that the moon is only shining because it's reflecting the sun's light, and that the sun can only be appreciated because we have the night. And so that's what you're working with this month. So letting go of feelings of competition, of jealousy, and of feeling like everyone needs to be like you, because you don't. Like that would make life very uninteresting. With that in mind, Leo, we move into Virgo. Virgo, your total buddy card for this new moon and 12/12 portal is a little bit quiet. Who wants to come out, guys? There we go. 8, played by 90s Courtney Love. So 8, it's all about making a little mischief. Ooh, I like this for you, Virgo, because Virgo is pretty organized, pretty contained, pretty not chaotic. And 8 is pretty chaotic. So the mythology behind 8 is that she decides to instigate a fight amongst the goddesses about who is the fairest of them all. There's more to it than that, but she basically is the instigator of something that eventually triggers the Trojan War. So this card is about making a little mischief. And honestly, I like it for you, Virgo, because I don't think it's going to get out of hand. If this was like a fire sign reading, I'd be a little like, let's give a little asterisk to that. But I think I can tell Virgos to make a little mischief, and it'll be still contained mischief. And with that in mind, your card is the World. So this actually tells me that you are closing out a chapter in a way that should be celebrated. So I think this is honestly, these two cards are telling me that you are ending a cycle, and the universe does not want you to move forward into your next project without celebrating where you've come from, because we do that too often, especially if you have a Virgo type energy. And I don't have Virgo in my chart, but I have a lot of type A tendencies in my life. So if you are type A and you're like, check, 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 got my list done, and then on to the next thing, you gotta give yourself celebration or you're gonna burn out. Like, if you don't celebrate even like the smaller accomplishments and completions of a project, you're gonna burn out. You have to give yourself a reward. This is actually the thing that's coming through here, which feels like a pretty Virgo energy. This is gonna be very niche, but I mean, it's relevant to the 90s deck. If you are a fan of the show Felicity, some of my favorite episodes of Felicity were the midterms finals episodes. And it would happen about halfway through the season because it was when college students were having like midterms or finals. And it was always such chaos. They're so much fun. If you don't watch any other Felicity episodes, feel free to go stream those. I don't know what they're called, but just track them down. And the first one in particular is really good. And there's a character who's very studious and very type A and very into her studies because she's studying to be a doctor, so she should be. And she had a study system, and they never explained the system fully, which is brilliant. But she would have a stopwatch and note cards and M&Ms. And she would look at the card, time herself looking at the card, stop the stopwatch, put the card down, eat an M&M. Start the stopwatch, look at the card, time herself reading it, stop it, eat an M&M. So there was something about that reward system that was working for her study system. So that's what's coming forward for you, Virgo. You are supposed to eat an M&M. You are supposed to reward yourself for your hard work because it's going to keep you motivated to go to the next thing. So with that in mind, we'll move from Virgo into Libra. So Libra, your total Betty Goddess card is Hygeia, played by Gwyneth Paltrow and Great Expectations. So this one leans a little more on the Gwyneth Paltrow persona than the character, but the character also fits. This goddess is the goddess of hygiene and health. And so this is a good month to make sure that you are in your checks and balances in regards to your physical health. So if you haven't been doing the workouts like you like to do, or if you haven't been working out at all, it's a good time to start working out. If you have had something go to the wayside with your diet, which, I mean, it's the holidays, we all kind of do. It's a good time to kind of at least plan for how you're getting back on track in the new year. Greens are important. I mean, this card is even green. She wears green all the way through this movie. But greens are important. I can tell you that as a health coach. I used to do 6 weeks. I used to do coaching programs with people as a certified health coach. And basically, the entirety of most of those was drink more water, eat more greens. So there is your several hundred, maybe $1,000 advice for your health. Drink more water, eat more greens. That is definitely part of this because of all the green in this card and because of the message of health. So if you haven't been eating your greens, definitely do that. Something that I've been doing personally is when I am not around enough for my greens to be fresh and unwilted, always the best way to do them fresh. Get yourself a green powder. Keep it in the fridge. If you're like, oh, I haven't had a vegetable in a couple days, put it in a smoothie or shake it up in something. Like, just get some green photosynthesis energy into your body every once in a while. But in particular, just in general health, make sure that you are in a place that you are taking care of that. I do feel, because this is the time of year that people can tend to get sick, you also want to be mindful of that. So I'm going to say this, like, if you're in an area that COVID is spiking again, mask up. Like, sometimes the health issue stuff is not about greens and exercise. Sometimes it's about putting on the mask or taking your vitamin C or having a rest day when you feel like you're about to get sick so that you don't throw yourself into a big sickness. With that in mind, your tarot card is the Magician. I know a Libra that's gonna appreciate that pairing. And the Magician is all about having your elements all in place. You have everything you need in your back pocket. So the thing that I'm going to say in regards to your goddess card and this card together is that this thing that you're shifting in your health arena doesn't have to be something that you go out and buy like a whole gym equipment for your home, or even go out and buy all new food for your cabinets. Like, that's not sustainable, frankly. That is not the way to make change. The way to make change in a sustainable way, particularly in regards to your health and especially in regards to your diet, is to slowly crowd out the bad with a little bit of good, little by little. So if you can, eat more greens and then you don't have quite as much room to eat potato chips, like whatever it is, this is a time period to recognize that you have what you need. You don't have to go out and reinvent the wheel or overhaul your whole life, because if it doesn't feel like you, it's not going to stick. So don't go out and overhaul your life. You have everything you need. You can start right now. You can start tomorrow. You can wait till the new year if you really want to. I'll give you that permission. But definitely take care of your health. I'm really like, I mean, seriously, let me just take a moment and really stress this. For some of you Libras, I do get a strong feeling that you could be right on the verge of some sort of health issue, whether it just be getting a cold or a flu or something bigger than that. And this moment of pause to reflect and reorganize that area of your life is going to make or break that. So take it seriously, please. Moving on from Libra into Scorpio. So it's our last card. And I dropped a couple cards that were face down. So let me pick those up. Okay, so Scorpio, your total bitty goddess is all the way across the room. Oh, I gotta get up and go get her. We're not gonna edit this out. Excuse the pajama pants if you can see them. Your total bitty goddess is Isis, played by Mia Wallace, Uma Thurman, in Pulp Fiction. She is here to tell you to transform yourself. And I love that. This is Phoenix energy, Scorpio. Which is interesting because you just went through your season. So like you kind of had a rebirth, but this feels like you're still rebirthing. And Isis is like raising something up from the dead and making it alive again in a way that's more powerful. So this could be you raising your image up from the dead. It also could be raising something up that you thought was dead that you can now revitalize. So there might be a project in your life that you're like, oh no, that's done and over. It just didn't work. And you're being called to resurrect it, but resurrect it in a way that feels more powerful. That feels really resonant for some of you Scorpios. So hopefully that resonated for someone that's watching. And then your tarot card is the Five of Wands. Interesting. So I'm getting, be very mindful of your thought patterns around competition. And there was a similar card in the past. I can't remember which sign it was, but if you're watching all of them, now you know the full picture. Be very mindful of whatever it is that you're resurrecting. This almost feels like, I'm getting a lot of imagery from Taylor Swift's Reputation album era. It's kind of a rise above the fray energy. So maybe your resurrection, like you feel like someone killed you or killed the project that you were working on. And there might be a little bit of like a resentment towards those people, that individual, that group, that area of your life. And the universe is like, okay, resurrect yourself, but like don't do it to seek revenge or to compete with someone. Like do it just for you. Like do it because that is what you need right now to be the full embodiment of your most authentic self. And the more that you can embody that as an authentic self-expression, the less you have to worry about competition or naysayers or doubters, because you're fully in alignment with that inner voice that tells you that you're doing everything right. Okay, so we have done all of the signs, and we are now going to move into a little meditation. So I'm going to grab a sip of water from my massive water jug. Libras, take note if you need more hydration. And you're gonna get comfortable. So close your eyes. I got some yawns going, which if you're a part of the Patreon, you would know that that means that there is energy shifting. I'm gonna be sending some distance Reiki out to anyone that's watching this video ever. So even if it's sometime that you are far away from the Sagittarius new moon, you're still getting some energy healing. So if you're into that sort of thing, all you have to do is imagine that you're opening yourself up to receive. Just be open to the energy. There's some energy that's moving in regards to the throat chakra. We're clearing out some expression of voice, particularly in regards, more yawns, more energy is clearing, in regards to controlling our expression of our emotions. So I want you to just take a moment here to tap in to what you're feeling, both in this moment and in general in your life. And ask yourself when the last time that you expressed that out loud to someone was. And if it was recently, awesome. How did that feel? If you haven't expressed it, make note. There's something that wants to come out, and you're going to feel so much lighter if you stop trying to control the expression of your emotions. This is a very Aquarius reading here because that really echoes our Aquarius cards. More yawns, so someone's shifting something. And then I just want you to imagine that there's just a white light coming down, not only cleansing you, so a little tunnel of light all the way around your body, but protecting you. That energy protection is going to be vital for the Scorpio. No, Pisces was who got Oya. Imagine that the externals of that white light are fortified with whatever strong material feels good to you. What seems impenetrable by those that aren't supposed to be there. And likewise, you're also sealing in that healing energy. We've got a lot of solar plexus shifting happening, so if you've got their hands free, place your hands on your upper abdomen, above your navel, beneath your rib cage. Start to let your belly soften and breathe into your hands. And this is your power center. The solar plexus is where we hold our sense of confidence. Yep, more yawns. More energy shifting for someone. We really are. We are all as a collective shifting our confidence. And you know why? Because we're getting ready to move into Pluto in Aquarius. And Pluto in Aquarius is about innovations. It's about community. It's about the world at large. But in order to get there, in order to serve the world at large and our greater community, we have to know who we are. Both so that we can keep our energy separate from others around us, even if we are helping them. Again, call back to Aradia for our Sagittarius reading. But also, because if we don't know who we are, we can't fully tap into the role that we're supposed to play. So there's a revolution that's about to happen, and we all have our own roles. But if you don't know who you are, what you stand for, where you want to go, you're going to get a little lost in the shuffle, or you're going to be assigned a job that you don't want. So you want to make sure that the solar plexus feels really healthy and in alignment. Might even feel some physical movement going on there. More yawns, more energy shifts. If this area of your body is not feeling at its best, the energetic is always reflected by the physical always reflects the energetic. They can go both ways. So if we're trying to align the energy and that you know already that the physical doesn't feel good, do something in your physical life to help align your digestive system area of your body. Maybe you start taking a probiotic. Maybe you start eating better. Maybe you start doing some crunches. Like if you feel like you need a little more strength there, strengthening the muscles of the abdomen can help that. And then gently place your hands on top of your thighs for a little grounding. Continue to imagine that white light flowing down that impenetrable tunnel through your body, out through your feet, out through your sit bones, out through whatever is touching down towards the earth. Imagine growing roots down into that connection. And allow these roots to be a filtration system, both grounding you, there goes the cat feeder, and also cleansing you. And with that note, we are going to close out this healing. So gently take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. I knew that was going to be my sign that I was going too long if it was an hour in and the feeder went off. So that is our reading, our healing for the Sagittarius new moon, 12/12 portal. I hope that this has served you well. Again, please feel free to stick around if you want to know what's going on, what's shifting around for the new year, if you want to just know what's going on with me. If you don't, blessings to you, no worries. You can find some links below. You can support the channel. You can come back, or you can just share this video or comment below to tell me how the reading resonated for you. All of those things help with engagement, which unfortunately is the world that we live in, but also they help with the support of the energy. So by commenting below, you're infusing this reading with more of your energy, you're infusing your intentions with more energy of the entire collective that's watched this video, so it benefits everyone as well. So with that in mind, I will see you soon. If you are leaving and if you're sticking around, I'm gonna have a drink of water and we're gonna chat. God bless Chris Corsini, and I hope I'm saying his last name right. I have a tendency to, and this is there's probably a word for this, so if somebody knows a word for this condition, write it below. All of my life, I've been a reader, and I read words, but I kind of read words almost like I'm reading hieroglyphics, and then I realize that sometimes I just recognize what a word is, and I translate it in my brain, and I will go my entire life never saying that word or wondering how it's said. And so when I go to say someone's name sometimes, I realize that while I recognize it when I see it, I could not tell you what letters are in the name. I can't tell you what the name actually is because I've never said it out loud in my head. I just kind of like, I'm like, oh, that is a thing. I know what it means. Anyway, point being, I hope his name is Chris Corsini. If it's not, you'll find him. He does sign language while he's doing his readings, but I love his I think he only does it on the new moon. Maybe he does full moon too, but I think he calls it a workshop. And so he'll do a reading of the energy at large, he'll do a healing, and then he'll do his little pivot party. And I love watching that. And I love the energy that shifts from sort of like the serious reading into the conversation, which again, if you're a Patreon member, you know that the extended readings, I would always get a little more conversational. Things would feel lighter, things would feel more fluid. So that's what this is about. And if you stuck around, I love you, you're my people. I love everyone that's watched this video, but you are my people. So this is what's happening for the the new moon and the new year. Things are shifting, and I'm not ready to reveal everything, but just a little recap of everything that's shifting around in my business, and I'm so excited about it. All of this came from so many different things that have unfolded over the past year, but the main realization that I've had over the past couple months is that I did a lot of meditating on my mission. Well, I didn't necessarily do meditating on my mission. Guides were throwing messages of my mission at me in meditation. And it just kept coming up and kept coming up and kept coming up that one, was too expansive with where I was sending my energy and I needed to contain it a little bit better. And two, I am not as interested in giving you answers as I am in training you how to find your own. And that is a big energy shift that's happening with the collective right now. There's a reason, I get people asking me occasionally of like, oh, you know, there's a lot of people that have like psychic and healer stuff going on now. Like, do you think that that's just like a trend or a scam or like whatever? And I'm like, no, I honestly think that we are having a massive awakening. And so whereas in the past, like 5 years ago, a psychic reading was maybe necessary. First of all, 2012, pre-2012, a psychic reading was really not necessarily necessary, but more accurate, because in 2012, we shifted energy more towards empowering ourselves. That's when it started. Of the collective is now more empowered than the individual. And in 2012, because of that, the timelines were much more solidified. So pre-2012, you could go to a psychic and they could tell you X, Y, and Z was gonna happen, and X, Y, and Z would happen, like kind of regardless of what you did almost. Not truly, because there are several readings that I tweaked for myself by changing my course of action, changing my path, and changing my vibration. But like those things were still lined up for that version of yourself if you continue down that path. Whereas now it's almost like not only are we shifting and changing, but like the timelines are shifting and changing. And it's gotten even more intense post 2020. Like 2012 was when it kind of started to get a little more autonomy. We could kind of play the puppet strings a little bit more ourselves. And then post 20, like we really do live in just like a simulation. Like I know that's the joke that keeps on, but we do. Like we have so much power in shifting the energy around in a situation that like your psychic could be completely right and none of it could be happening because you could like like mold the energy in such a way that you end up on a completely different timeline than what that psychic was reading, because she was reading your energy of the moment and you completely changed. So that's both a hindrance and an empowerment. But because of that, I find that even though I do plenty of really accurate readings, like it's not like I'm like, oh my God, I'm quitting giving readings because I'm not good at it. Like I give accurate readings. People do tend to read into the energy enough to be able to figure out what's happening with that person. But why? If everyone's on an intuitive awakening, why am I enabling you to not use your psychic powers by giving you the answers? So that being said, I'm still gonna do readings in the new year. They're gonna look different. They're gonna be a little more elaborate, and they're gonna be more like an intuitive coaching session. So again, I always say that I'm like your answer key. Like you already know, you're already intuitive enough to be able to know what's happening. Oh, here comes the cat. You're already intuitive to know what's happening, and I'm just here to make sure, oh God, to kind of check your work for you, or to confirm, like if you were taking a practice test and you're like, oh, okay, cool, that was the answer, I got it right. That's what I've done in the past, but I've done it in a way that's me telling you what the reading is saying, and then someone responding to me, oh yes, that's what I thought. Whereas now I'm gonna shift the readings more towards a perspective of, I'm going to kind of have in my mind what I would normally tell you in a reading, but we're gonna talk it out. And we're gonna have you get to the answer first, and then me say it. And the reason that my ego hasn't let me do this in the past is because it does feel like it is very validating to me as a reader to go in blind to a reading, to not know anything about the situation, to not know anything about what that person's thinking, and to tell them exactly what I say and then have them respond, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm thinking, that's exactly what's been going on. That's great, it's validating, but I've had 10 years of that. I know that I know what I'm talking about. And a lot of my clients know that I know what I'm talking about. I don't have to prove myself anymore. So instead, I'm not gonna try and do that trick. I'm going to coach you into finding your own answers. And this will look different for different things. I'm still finalizing what the format is gonna look like. Point being, those are really exciting. Those are new. However, I do really enjoy the categories of mind, body, soul. So if you don't know, mind is my tarot readings online, body is my Reiki and Akashic reading of your body, of your physical body readings, and soul is my past life reading and mediumship reading for you. So if those are things that you are interested in, you need to purchase your reading before the end of December, because they are going away. Like literally the site that I sell them on, I'm not even gonna be on anymore. So you will not be able to access them. You need to purchase it now. You can book the reading further in the future if you need to, like after the holidays, but you need to get it purchased and on the books before the end of the year. The other stuff is coming, and I will definitely let you know. I'm currently in the process of literally rebuilding my website from the ground up. It's both really exciting, and I'm happy that it's working out that way, but it's also just a flaw in the system of Squarespace and the way that their upgrade process works. But I'm very excited about it. It's looking really good. Again, I do everything in my business myself, so I am doing the full web design, everything on my own. I'm very proud of it. I can't wait for you to see it. And it's going to include all of the trainings that I used to do of Unteachable, which at this point was just Become Your Own Healer Level 1. We're gonna get Level 2 out coming with the start of the next year. And we are going to have a membership platform, which is the part that I'm the most excited about, because this is where I'm going to teach someone to fish rather than give them a fish. And I'll do that in the readings as well, but I'm really shifting my focus into this community, into this membership platform, more than the actual one-on-one readings. So that is really the place to be. And again, it's not gonna be up until the site is up, which will be sometime end of December, maybe the start of January, but I hope it's before the Christmas holiday. And that will be up. I will be announcing first on Instagram, which is where I always put everything that I'm excited about. It'll come out in the newsletter as well. So if you're signed up for that, you'll get information about it. But at Michelle Shea's on Instagram, if you want to follow me there and check the stories, please, please, please check the stories, because that is where I announce most of the impromptu things. And it's going to be a monthly class basis. So I'm actually gonna sit down in the next couple weeks, and I'm gonna let Spirit help me decide. I'm gonna pull tarot cards for every day, every month of the year. That's gonna help me tap into what the theme for each of the classes is, and then every month is going to focus around a theme that is going to in some way help you tap more into your intuition. So some of it's going to be super obvious, like how to read a tarot deck. Some of it's going to be a little less obvious, like maybe detoxing from social media or shifting your diet around in a way that feels best for your energy. But again, we're going to let spirit help me decide. I'm going to meditate on all that. I'll have a calendar-ish up whenever it's time to sign up, so you'll kind of know what you're getting yourself into for the next several months. But it'll be a monthly membership sign up. You will get a class, a meditation, Q&A session every month. So I'll do a live Zoom and answer your questions and do some little coaching, intuitive coaching for that. And probably a couple other things as well. But that's the thing I'm most excited about. It's called Third Eye Academy. It will be coming in the next couple months, or not next couple months, in the next couple weeks. It'll come before the end of the year or right at the start of the year. And it will all be contained on my website, because the other thing I'm getting messages on is that instead of being very elaborate with the platforms that I'm on, I'm supposed to house it all in one place pretty much. So as much as I can, I want to create a playground for you at michellesheawalker.com. And so you'll be able to find articles, you'll be able to find the podcast, you'll be able to find my classes, my membership site, all of that will be over there. So I hope that you will join me on all of this that I'm super excited about. Please, if you watched this far, comment below and let me know either what you thought of your reading or one thing that you're excited about in 2024 or even for the end of the year. And also let me know what you thought of this format, because this is definitely easier than editing like an hour and a half of a reading. And it's a little more chaotic. I've got a little more pauses. I got to pick up a few more cards on camera, but I think I like it. I also like it for the sense of community. So the more that you can join the lives, that's awesome. If you can't join the lives, again, your energy was still stamped here, and I appreciate your presence. And if you really like this video and you haven't already, subscribe below, because they'll start happening new and full moon. And now the whole thing's here. There's no extended over on the Patreon, so enjoy. Happy 12/12 portal and Sagittarius new moon. How do I end this? And now we get to watch me not know how to end. There we go.